Previous elementary school students cross Turk Street in San Francisco as safe passage volunteer Tatiana Alabsi observes on April 24, 2018. Alabsi, a mom of two from Yemen, lives in affordable housing in the Tenderloin. Farida Jabvala Romero, KQED, Kate Robinson, Wright, greets school children after safe passage volunteers cleared the Tenderloin sidewalk of people openly using drugs on April 24, 2018. Farida Jabvala Romero, KQED, Sound the gallery will resume in seconds. Margarita Mina, 60, stops traffic for pedestrians in San Francisco's Tenderloin neighborhood on April 24, 2018. Mina, a Tenderloin resident, helped start the Safe Passage program. Farida Jabvala Romero, KQED, Safe Passage Director Kate Robinson high-fives school children at Turk and Hyde Street on April 24, 2018. The intersection is one of San Francisco's most notorious areas for drug use and sales. Farida Jabvala Romero, KQED, Safe Passage volunteer Michael Cameron takes pride in helping children navigate the Tenderloin. "I love what I do, and I really feel like I make a difference," said Cameron, 65. Adam Grossberg, KQED, elementary school students cross Turk Street in San Francisco as Safe Passage volunteer Tatiana Alabsi observes on April 24, 2018. Alabsi, a mom of two from Yemen, lives in affordable housing in the Tenderloin. Farida Jabvala Romero, KQED, next show caption one of five elementary school students cross Turk Street in San Francisco as Safe Passage volunteer Tatiana Alabsi observes on April 24, 2018. Alabsi, a mom of two from Yemen, lives in affordable housing in the Tenderloin. Farida Jabvala Romero, KQED, expanding a wet sidewalk in San Francisco's Tenderloin. Michael Cameron approached a middle-aged man snorting a white powder cupped in his hands. Cameron, a 65-year-old volunteer in the neighborhood, asked the drug user to move across the street. He knew hundreds of school children soon would be walking by. "Guys were sitting there snorting coke and smoking dope and didn't want to move," said Cameron, who grew up in the Tenderloin. "You know, they want time. But we got these babies coming by." Cameron is one of about 24 volunteers with Safe Passage, a citizens' effort that transforms the Tenderloin sidewalks into a more kid-friendly environment a couple of hours every school day. The Tenderloin is notorious for the homelessness on its streets and open drug use and sales. But it is also one of the only affordable neighborhoods left in one of the most expensive cities in the nation and is home to hundreds of low-income and immigrant families. U.S. Census figures report 2,200 children live in the Tenderloin, but local nonprofits estimate that there are more than 3,000 kids in that neighborhood, between Union Square and the Civic Center. For decades, the Tenderloin has attracted immigrant families and workers because of its high density of affordable housing. In a city where median rents have skyrocketed to nearly $4,200 a month, the Tenderloin represents an island of affordable studios, one-bedrooms and residential hotels. "It's a whole different world than the rest of San Francisco," said Randy Shaw, who directs the nonprofit Tenderloin Housing Clinic and has worked in the neighborhood for about 40 years. About 80% of the housing units in the neighborhood are under rent control or permanently affordable, according to a report by the Tenderloin Neighborhood Development Corp. Working-class families worried about safety in the Tenderloin have few options to move out to other parts of the city where rents are higher. "It's hard for an adult to live here, and I don't recommend it for kids," said Margarita Mina, 60, who lives with 3 grandchildren in an apartment building for low-income families. Children see people shooting up, people lying on the street, and syringes thrown out. Over 10 years ago, Mina and other moms in the Tenderloin began meeting with the goal of making streets safer for kids walking to and from 3 schools in the neighborhood. That push became Safe Passage. "We said, we need to do something," said Mina, who has lived in the Tenderloin since she immigrated to the United States from Mexico. "We need for somebody to be on the corners when kids are off to school, helping them cross the street." During morning and afternoon shifts, Mina, Cameron and other volunteers head out in pairs to their assigned corners. The walkie-talkies they carry frequently crackle with short messages about what's happening on their route, if human waste litters sidewalks, or if people hanging out on the corners need medical attention. The so-called corner captains are easily recognizable because of the neon green vests they wear as they hold up stop signs and help kids cross the busy intersections. Safe Passage volunteers, most of whom are Tenderloin residents and parents, are now familiar faces to 8-year-old Diana Eusebio. "We always say hi because they are nice and because they're helping us not to be crushed by a car," said Diana, a student at Tenderloin Community Elementary School. "They actually really make the streets nicer." Some of the Tenderloin streets Diana and her classmates walk on are considered some of San Francisco's biggest drug hotspots by city agencies. But when Safe Passage volunteers are out there, the community sees improved safety, said San Francisco police officer Eric Robinson. "I think it's been fantastic. I've seen improvement in the cleanliness of the street. I've noticed that there's less crime and calls for service," said Robinson, who walks the Tenderloin beat. "Often, a couple of SFPD officers are visible along the Safe Passage route to help keep a positive atmosphere," said Kate Robinson, who directs Safe Passage and is not related to Officer Robinson. "It's an example of the many collaborations people in the program have built over the years to be effective in the neighborhood. A lot of people who don't spend time in the Tenderloin, they only see trash on the ground or people openly shooting up. And yes, we do grapple with that," said Kate Robinson, who has worked in the area for over a decade. "But it has amazed me, just how much community is here and how amazing the people who live here are." The experience of standing at the same corner for about 6 years has shown her a different side of the Tenderloin. She points to the time she witnessed a child falling out of a 4th-floor window. "A group of drug dealers caught her and saved her life and nobody would know that story. We were standing there and we saw this happen," she said. Throughout its history, the Tenderloin has welcomed working people and since the 1970s, many immigrant families. The neighborhood has also been an area for vice, said Katie Conry, executive director of the nonprofit Tenderloin Museum. "That looked really different in the 20s, 30s and 40s. It was more glitzy. The primary underground economy was gambling, but it's still a vice area in a lot of ways," Conry said. "An often misunderstood or ignored neighborhood, the Tenderloin is an area where larger issues collide, such as income inequality and the housing crisis," Conry said. About half of the city's homeless population, and services for them, are concentrated in the Tenderloin and a neighboring area. "The Tenderloin is this place that's really empathetic and supportive that didn't cause all these issues to happen," Conry said. As San Francisco and the state wrestle with those huge problems, Mina said she's proud of what she and other residents have accomplished with Safe Passage, which is now part of the nonprofit Tenderloin Community Benefit District. She will continue volunteering for the program as long as she lives in the Tenderloin. "It makes you feel good, because you are doing something good for children and for your community," she said. Farida Jabvala Romero reports on immigration, economic opportunity, and race and ethnicity for KQED in San Francisco. The California Dream series is a statewide media collaboration of Cal Matters, KPBS, KPCC, KQED and Capital Public Radio with support from the Corporation for Public Broadcasting and the James Irvine Foundation. Might also apply for credit cards and get an anti-theft bag worth www.bankbazaar.sg. Oil falls 2%, U.S. crude hits lowest since early April. Business Times new bond for hiring Indonesian maids unnecessary, says. Print edition. NBA star Stephen Curry selling $3.7 million Bay Area mansion. Global feast on affordable lunch deals at the shops. Marina Bay Sands Korean-style burgers 22 centimeters in diameter. That and more. Hungry Go Where SG Kristen Stewart and Robert Pattinson spark. MercuryNews.com Tuesday's big question, who will finish second in? MercuryNews.com NBA Finals, what's with LeBron James's eye? MercuryNews.com recommended by